Hello DevOps people, welcome to Full Stack Live. I'm back, even though I have taken the week off to recharge a little bit. I decided to do a wee little live stream on this Friday afternoon, just to see how everyone's doing. So pop into chat, let me know what you're doing, how you're doing, what you've planned for the weekend and things like that. I'll do a little bit chill Ruby coding today. I'm not doing any work. I promised not to do any work this week while I've taken the time off, and so I'll do a little bit of work on my Twitch bot. Oi, Julian, welcome. Happy to have you here. Same goes for Foolish Noble. Hello. How is everyone? I hope you're doing great, and I hope you're already preparing for the weekend. And enjoy your meal, Foolish Noble. I had a little bit to eat before the stream. It's been a little bit of I'm using the word little a lot today. Yeah, it's been a bit chaotic today. I thought I'd do my regular stream time at 2 o'clock, and then I realized I had booked a massage for this time. Then I tried to reach the massage studio because I didn't get a confirmation. I couldn't reach them. Then just when I was about to call it, they called me and told me they didn't do any confirmations yet, and so in the end I rescheduled for tomorrow morning. Division by Zero is watching me closely, so I really keep my promise to recharge and recover. I actually had a little bit of Burnout episode last weekend, but I'll get to that. Yeah, so so the whole massage thing caused a little bit of confusion. I didn't know if I would drop my stream completely or do the stream a little bit later when I come back completely relaxed. And then I ran into some technical difficulties when OBS didn't do what it was supposed to do, and then my daughter asked me if I could get our son to his swimming lessons later, and that would have prevented me from streaming altogether because it wouldn't have left me enough time. Then yeah, it's been chaotic today. Let's keep it at that. But I actually was able to hit the record button, so here we are. Yeah, sadly, I ran into burnout issues end of last week. I think Divisions by Zero might have seen it earlier than myself, that my focus and my ability to deliver results was decreasing, and I didn't quite feel in it, and all these things that are typical for burnout, and yeah, I'm not really sure. Yeah, on Friday I started to develop my usual burnout symptoms, which is basically like you're getting the flu with body aches and headaches, and you feel completely destroyed and out of energy. So it's basically like a flu, just without the cough and the sneezing. And that actually kept me in bed for the whole weekend. I'm not sure if I was still in bed on Monday. Well, I had to take care of things at least to get the little one to school. So I already was starting to feel better, but the weekend was gone. So yeah, let that be a lesson to yourself and, well, to me, I guess. Take regular breaks. I can't say that my life has been too stressful lately, but it's been very unpredictable. And I think that was frustrating me quite a bit because every time I planned something, every time I made plans for the day in terms of what I was going to achieve during the day or what I was going to get finished during that day, every time I tried something like that, every time I tried being productive, something came in the way, either something about the family or something about work or something altogether completely different. But I remember being pretty frustrated and defeated even, feeling like I really can't get anything done, even though I want to, and even though I had made plans and arrangements for it. But it is what it is. Life comes in the way, and yeah, I need to maybe learn to get to deal better with these things, with unplanned stuff, and not getting my will in terms of productivity. It's not ideal. But let's see what I can do today. I'd like to do a little bit of work on my stream chatbot. Lately I was missing a functionality that does shoutouts. If you are following various live coders, you are pretty much familiar with doing shoutouts, especially when people raid your stream or when other streaming colleagues pop into your chat. But every time that happens to me, I either forget to do a shoutout or I'm so excited that I have a hard time typing their names. And so by the time I was able to write a shoutout command in chat using their Twitch name, they might have already left again. So I thought it would be a nice touch to have my own chatbot react automatically to people who I have listed as streamer friends, and that's what I'm going to do today. And I have further plans for my bot, because lately we've been testing Matrix and Element as its client for our team chat at the company, and it's pretty nice. However, it's far behind Slack in terms of chat integrations and things like that. So I thought, well, it might be a good thing that I already have a chatbot, even though it's built for Twitch. And maybe I'll simply extend it to have adapters for different chat systems. So we could have a chatbot that has a Matrix adapter. We could have the same chatbot with a Discord adapter, or with a Twitch adapter that it already has. So that's my next goal for this bot, to extend it from being a Twitch chatbot to something that can be basically connected to every kind of online chat. And I guess that's going to be fun as well. So yeah, but before I try to take over the world, let's first start by trying to implement our shoutout functionality. Okay, so let me see. So here we are, and I need to actually clone my repository because I don't have it here yet. That's 10x. 10x is the name of my chatbot. Just ask GitHub Copilot. I can't ask GitHub Copilot. Do I look like someone who can afford to have GitHub Copilot? So, yeah, I always wanted to be a 10x programmer, so I created a project called 10x. So now I am a 10x programmer, I think. Okay, 10x is based on a more generic Ruby gem. So let's try and find that as well. I think it's called Twitch Chat. Haven't done work on that in quite a while. It's called Twitch Bot. Alrighty. So I guess we'll work on 10x directly. A free-to-play model for GitHub Copilot. Checked answers comments. That's genius. You should take over product management at GitHub. Okay, so that's that. Oh dear, I've been a week off work and don't know how to do things anymore. Okay, so this is a gem. And that's the executable. And here we have the different handlers. Okay, that's good. So, we're getting spammed. Oh, that's what I'm missing. Okay, here we go. For 99 cents, I will give you code for a value at a value of $99. Yeah, that's a bargain, isn't it? I mean, you could even bill by lines of code. Okay, so yeah, let me see. The plan command handler is probably the most interesting handler here because plan has to have a memory. I can set a plan and then it needs to store that, and that's why we have the client memory attribute here where we can store and retrieve stuff. Okay, that's pretty good. So I guess we'll build something like that. We'll use the same module and then we'll create a new command handler here. So how do we call that? That's the shout out handler, I guess. Shout out underscore handler. Yep. And we'll need a module. X class shout out handler, and that's derived from Twitch bot event handler, I think. Why does my indentation not work? Strange. Let's see. Module tags class. Which bot event handler? Then we'll have to implement these two things. We'll deal with user messages, and when it gets called with a user message, we will have to do something. And the question is what we're going to do. Yeah, both the Twitch bot gem and the bot itself are open source. Simply go to GWiz Twitch bot or GWiz 10x on GitHub, and you can see what's in there. So now, actually, I have no idea. What the event that we can handle gives to us. So I guess what's that plan file here? Is that even used? Yeah. Guess we tried to use the plan file before. I think that we can get rid of that. Because the bot runs on Heroku, so we can't even create files over there, I think. That's something that must have been a leftover. So, shout out handler. Let me go to my Twitch bot. And take a look at that. Here's the event class. Can only get a type. So I guess the event handler. Interesting. Where did we hide all the business logic? Oh, that's very kind of you, Julian. Thank you. So we have a user message, which is, oh dear, message base. Wait, what? Where am I? What message.rb? Oh, okay, message.rb. Okay. But message.rb should be message base. That's just in. That's why I'm getting confused here. This message file should be named base, and in the message directory. So I did some kind of refactoring without moving the file, and that's what completely confused me here. But as I can see, there are many classes. Okay, so there's base and there's not supported, which is then derived from base. But that's message not supported. Okay, message ping. Lots of messages in this namespace. Okay. I see. Okay, I've built this a little bit strangely. But that's what happens when you clone stuff, I guess. Can we test this? Right, have to unbundle install first. Two years and 2 months ago. Okay, yeah, it's been quite a while. So let's see. Can I test this? Are there even tests? Lots of Robocop stuff that came after I've released this. Okay. Yeah, message is lacking lots of super calls. Something that we can remedy. In bot client. Looks like we should put this here. Then use dollars standard out instead of standard out. Okay, in bot logger. And bot message, yeah, okay, and user message. In bot message, there's still. I'll have to see where it is missing. Line 8, okay. And then in user message, line 10. Ooh, lots of stuff going wrong. Known keywords. Oh, I guess the super call needs to be different. We just hand in the type. Let's see, message base. Gets a message. And here, okay. We actually can't call super here because we don't have the message anymore. How do these messages get created in the first place? Is it IRC message? Somewhere I have to have some kind of a parser that creates these. Oh yeah, message parser, huh? And here the message parser gets an IRC message, so it's basically an IRC message parser. And depending on the IRC message command, we create a different parser. And for example, the ping command parser then creates a ping message already with the host name populated. Okay, so far so good. That does make sense to me. However, now I'm unsure if the way I'm building my class hierarchy here is correct, is as it's supposed to work. Because Robocop is trying to force me to call super in my initializer, so the base class gets initialized as well. However, I can't call super even with explicit arguments, because the base class takes different arguments than the derived classes, the child classes. So I guess my question is it correct to create child classes that have different arguments, a different argument set than its parent class, its base class? I mean, I can always call super with nil as the message, and looking at the base class, it's even questionable why I'm actually even initializing it. I guess to make sure that every type of message has a type, even if in the abstract base class it's type unknown. But why then even hand in a message here? That doesn't make any sense. So if I what does Twitch bot event look like? Here we actually Twitch bot event gets initialized with a type, which is by default unknown. Now this is getting even more convoluted. TwitchBot event accepts a type, which is unknown by default. And our message base is basically the TwitchBot event. So what I could do we could get rid of this base class altogether and make TwitchBot event our base class. And then we can call super with this type. Right? TwitchBot message get base is based on TwitchBot event, and TwitchBot event is initialized with a type. So no. Yeah, I think that makes more sense. So if we get rid of this, we can always give this the same signature than the same as a TwitchBot event, and then we'll simply call super type and here we can simply call super type not supported. Here we'll call super, oops, type ping Something like this. And with that, we're done. And then we'll probably need to change user message as well. User message is also derived from message base. So yeah, we'll simply say super bloop type user message. That should do the trick. Okay, and we might be able to get rid of this base class altogether, but it's nice to have this layer of abstraction in, and it doesn't really hurt. So let's see how this changes our test behaviors. So that's already a little bit better. Of course, we can't connect to any Redis because there isn't any. And I wonder how I dealt with that during development. I can see there's a Docker compose YAML that is actually spawning Redis on the default port. So by running DC up, I should be able to get my Redis. Let's create a new deal and say DC up. Okay, let's see if this. Oh, okay, one more failure. Bad URI. It is not a URI because Redis URL isn't set. Do we have an env? Okay, I need to create an env file. This env dist. We'll rename that to env sample. And we can copy it directly to .env. Sample.env. Nice. Okay. There should probably be something documented in the... Okay. Yeah. I'd like to build a some kind of a template for projects where, for example, I always have a bin/setup script that takes care of these things, copying the env sample file and running bundle install and things like that. I think that should be best practice, where you have either documentation in a README file, or even better, have an executable setup script that can take care of these things. And then, what's this launch file here? That's definitions from VS Code, which should not be in here in the first place. And that's the actual GitHub action that releases a new gem, huh? Oh yeah. Nice. So I could even extend that to integrate release please, which I've discovered recently, which is a great, yeah, it's kind of a GitHub action from Google that takes commits that have been written in the conventional commit format, and it'll create the changelog for you. It'll even bump your versions according to your commits, because it can tell from your commits, is it just fixes, which leads to a patch level release? Is it additional features, which would be a minor release? Or is it actually breaking changes that would require a major version bump? And it even collects all these changes from commits and yeah, in a pull request. And so you can collect changes and don't have to release them right away if you don't want to. You can always gather them in a release PR, that's how they call it, and then you can hit the button and release everything in a single click. So that's pretty nice, and yeah, well done past me building this release job. That's more sophisticated than I expected. So, I guess I haven't made my any changes yet. I just updated things to Rubocop standards. Guess it's a good time to commit this stuff. And since tests are running nicely, I guess it's legitimate to commit these things. Let me see. We have user message. Then the client RB. Client RB should be changed as well. I can see that it's also, there's a stop event that sets a type and then calls super. We can combine that. So let me go into bot client RB. Here we can simply call super directly. That's just reordering. Okay, we'll add that and say that's all fixes. Style class. Well, style and constructor class calls. What? How do I get the command log? Is this sort of... Oh, that's why. Okay. Git identity. I have two different identities defined, my work identity and my personal identity, so I'll simply call the Git identity gwiz. No, it's not indentity, it's identity. And let's do the same for 10x as well. Okay, and that means I can now say fix style and structure calls. Bada bing. That's that. And question is message. Do we move it where it needs to go? Ideally, we would create files for each of these classes, short as they are. I'm not a fan of having everything in this single file because that's just this is just going to take 5 minutes for me to grasp next time I'm tackling this. Well, okay. Now that's the Twitch bot, right? Okay. What I came over to look for is this user message that can check for a command. And we have a user and we have a text. So, okay. So we have the shoutout handler. I probably need another handler here because the way I'd like to implement this is if someone comes into chat, says hi, and is marked as a streamer colleague, streamer friend, then I'm going to trigger the shout out for them. And that requires me to track when we saw them last, because of course I don't want to trigger this for each and every chat message they leave, just for the first one in a particular period of time. So, for example, if someone hasn't been around for a day, they get a shout out, but then they'll basically be on cooldown for another day. So I need to track when I saw them last. And I wonder if that should be a different handler or if that should be part of the shoutout handler. Because these kind of cooldowns and timeouts might be required somewhere else as well. So I'm not sure how generic to make this. And I guess my base rule is if I don't know, I'm not gonna decide. So I guess we'll build the this last scene functionality into the shoutout handler until we know better. So okay, so the shoutout handler gets called with every message. And so what we're going to do is register last seen for this user. And since we are in the event handler, we can count on having the user method available. Right? Yeah. Wait. User message. Where does user message get created, actually? Is that part of the message parser? Yeah. So if we get a message that's not a subscription, then it's just a normal user message and we handle that, okay. And this parser returns a message. I have no idea what the call hierarchy is here. They should be more transparent, I think. So messages are base classes that get Exegete.io, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So let's see. Now I need to do my own shout-out bot. That's what I'm trying to automate today, even though I still need to understand my own code here that I haven't touched in 2 years. Hey, Exegete, how you doing? Thinking. I remember when you popped into chat last time, I said Exegete. home Alabama, and then I realized you're not from Alabama, you're from another state starting with A. That's why I confused it, but I can't remember which state. It's not Alabama. What? Damn it! My memory gets worse and worse. Arizona? Oh dear. I promise next time I'll be prepared. Okay, so how this... Arizona, okay. What, 17 degrees Celsius? That's actually balmy. That's the same temperature we have here. I mean, 15, 17, something like that. It's still enough. I'm not complaining. But how is it only 17 degrees over there? Okay, this should be pretty obvious, I think. So we have an event handler. Which seems like an abstract base class. Not sure. Yeah, we have an event and a client. Okay, so the client... yeah, the client sets everything up. And actually dispatches events. Yeah, here we go. We go through the handler that have been registered, and then we call, we instantiate them, and then we call them. Wait, where did we go? Dispatch. Okay, so that's where this happens. So for each and every message, we call the handlers that have subscribed to these messages. That does make sense. Messages get dispatched after they've been parsed. So the message parser reads IRC stuff and returns the correct message, the correct event object. Interesting. Okay, so yeah, it's all a little bit, yeah, decoupled. That feels good. That feels right, but strange as well. So what I do is basically I instantiate a handler, subscribe to user messages, and then we can simply expect to get called because we get instantiated by the client. So the client instantiates my shoutout handler class, and then it simply calls its call method. So I can rely on having a user attribute populated because that's part of the user message class in TwitchBot. Let's take another look. So here we have two attributes, text and user, and they both get set. Interesting. Okay, so that's how this works. It's a little bit magic, but that's okay. Ah, I see. So, okay, Exegete, you're pretty elevated there, so no wonder it's a little bit cooler. But hey, you are cool, so your environment is cool too. Of course it is. Aitan Futuro, hey, happy Friday to you too. It's actually a happy Friday now that the hustle and bustle has subsided a little bit, and now that things seem to be settling, and now that my daughter is hopefully taking my son to swimming lessons while my wife's working, we should be good. So what is everyone doing at the moment, except listening to my rambling here? So that's pretty cool, because that means that I can simply rely on the whole framework doing its stuff and my call method getting called when it's necessary. In this case, we are not even interested in the text attribute. We are not really interested in what the person said. We'll simply let's call it unless shout out cooldown user, and hey, we are programming Ruby, so let's make it shout out cooldown A. Unless shout out cooldown user. What's wrong with my indentation? Unless shout out cooldown user shout out user. And then we need to register last seen for this user. And of course, all these methods that I'm using here are going to be private. So that's going to be shout out cooldown. Let's simply return false for the time being. And then we'll use register last seen. And I guess, do I make these named arguments or not? I guess let's make this our best practice to always use named attributes or named arguments. And then we'll we'll do something more primitive first. We'll retrieve the last scene. Document. So we call this last scene, client memory retrieve, last scene, and if that doesn't yield anything, we'll make it a an empty hash. Let's make this as explicit hash new. And then we'll say last seen user equals time now. And then we do client memory store last seen. That's hardly thread safe, but it'll do for a start. That'll be interesting to test. Because it's stateful. On the other hand, we can always mock shoutout cooldown A. That should be possible. How do we actually test the plan command? It's pretty straightforward. Interesting. Okay. So I guess for the shoutout cooldown A, we need some kind of date arithmetic. Those are always fun. We can simply check. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Maybe we'll... Yeah, register last seen is already not having a single responsibility. It has two. And shoutout cooldown will need another. Time current versus daytime current? Yeah, I can't remember what the difference is either. I have to look up these things every time. Since I don't use them enough to memorize how these different semantics work. So what I'm going to do is I'll define last seen for a user. And I guess in this case I really don't need a named argument. And I guess that's exactly what I'm going to use here. Oops. And here we'll simply say last seen user. And shoutout cooldown is by default, let's say last seen user less than, I guess it's either nil, so we haven't seen this user before, it's a friend who's joined our chat for the first time, or last seen okay, so that's going to be a variable. Last seen time equals last seen user. And here it's last seen time is either nil or last seen time is less than time now minus 1 day. Item Futuro, did you figure it out in the end? And if so, please share in chat. I know there are actually significant semantical differences between time current and daytime current. And I would assume it has to do with if it's just an actual clock time, or if it's a calendar date with a time. Okay, so we can okay, so that's interesting. Here I retrieve the hash or create a new hash and return last seen user. It will either return nil or it'll return the hash element. Here I do the same again. I think what I wanted to do was something like retrieve last seen without a user. Guess something like retrieve last seen data. This whole last seen thing should be its own object. Time zone now. Well, we'll see if Rubocop will complain, because I'm not actually dealing with time zones. This can be universal. This could be even we're dealing with timestamps here. So at least time zone doesn't factor in my current use case. I'm not sure if Rubocop cares about that, but using time zone without having the need of a time zone distinction feels wrong too. So I'll deal with that when it comes up. But thanks for the hint. I have to say I enjoy being back in pure Ruby coding here. And it's obvious how rusty I've become with things like class hierarchies and all these things, because my Ruby coding lately has been with either Rails or Chef, where I don't have to think about object hierarchies and class design and all these things. Crunchins, hey, welcome to Full Stack Live. Happy to have you here. Just have the command return location roughly and the current time. That's what most streams have said. Yeah. All I need is to know, has this person written in chat within the last day? So in this case, they're not going to get a shout out. And we might want to make this a constant. So we call this something like cooldown period. And we'll define it as 1 day, but on the other hand, I guess they can get a cooldown, a shout out every hour as well. If they haven't written within an hour, I think it's fine to give them a shout out again, because not that I do daily streams, but I mean, if it's been 22 hours since they last wrote, because there wasn't any other opportunity in between, they should still be rewarded with a shout out, I guess. So yeah, once an hour is fair. Time to go brush up on OOP with Sandy Mitz. I love Sandy. Yeah, you and me both, brother. You and me both. Sandy Mitz is the queen of object-oriented design in Ruby. So let's give her a shout out too. It's always useful to have this to have this fresh in mind, and yeah, I might need some refreshment here, not only in terms of more tea, but also in object-oriented design. At the moment, I'm going on a gut feeling that this last scene thing should be encapsulated, and even though it definitely relies on the client's memory attribute here, I think the shoutout handler should not deal with that directly in an ideal class hierarchy, and so I feel like it would be the right thing to create to put it in its own class. However, you're perfectly right in terms of reading up on these things, because I would like to have more than a gut feeling to go from. What exactly should be the trigger to create a new class? Sandy Metz recommends using not using nouns, as it is quite common, but actually looking at the messages that get sent, and if messages get sent to an object that doesn't look like it should get these messages, then it's probably the wrong object, and we need a new one that will take care of them instead. So in this case, I'm sending something like retrieve last seen data to, well, myself in this case, to the shoutout handler, and maybe, yeah, and that combined with the singular responsibility principle, as Exegete.io says rightfully, that probably is what my gut feeling is based on. That the shoutout handler should not have the responsibility of maintaining this last seen data. Yeah, that's the formal explanation. The official explanation is still my gut tells me to, but I guess SRP is the actual answer. Okay, so still, we can refactor that at a later time. What I'd like to make sure is that we don't have any repetition here. So retrieve last seen data needs to be done by the register last seen, because we need to modify it, and it needs to be called by shoutout cooldown, because in this case we only need the last seen data. So yeah, we need to retrieve the whole data set. And then we'll do last seen user. Where we actually say last seen data. Oh, equals retrieve last seen data. And then we'll return last seen data for this particular user. And that way we can basically extract these methods directly into a to be created last seen object. Huh, okay, I see what you mean. Commenting. Well, we might actually summon one pocket pimp here, but I'm pretty torn on writing comments for all these things because the book Clean Code by Uncle Bob made a pretty good argument against writing comments because over time entropy will make them lying comments. Because you changed the semantics or the actual purpose of a method and forget to update comments, and then the comment tells a different story than what is real. And so I'm more in the camp of people saying, let's make our function names and method names as clear as possible so that we don't need any comments that explain them to us. So I think we'll try and do exactly that. It's still a good hint to make things clear because, I mean, it's pretty obvious. I've seen this code. I haven't seen this code for 2 years now. And even though I wrote it, I have a hard time wrapping my head around things. In part because it's simply an area where I haven't done any work in these 2 years. So it's no wonder that I need to do some research. But I agree, but when you look at a function, how do you know if it's doing too much? So going by what I've learned from Clean Code is that the function name should tell a clear story what it's doing. And if you look at the function body and realize, well, it does that and more, then it's not a single responsibility, then it's multiple responsibilities, like, for example, this register last seen here. And if it says, if the function name says one thing and the body does another, then we are again in lying territory. And I guess it's time to fix the function name. That's exactly why I'm breaking these things up, even though there are only a few lines of code. I'll try to make them as atomic as possible and as clear as possible. That's actually something that I am missing from most streamers that I watch regularly. Oftentimes they simply write procedural code where they have a function with 15, 20, 30 lines, and the more lines you get in a function, the less likely it is that this function only has a single responsibility. how would I describe the class I'm in? Well, the shoutout handler takes a chat message, and if it's from a user that actually that's a functionality I need to implement first. If it's from a user that is in our streamer friends list and hasn't posted a message within the cooldown period, then they get a shout out. So there's more than the shout out cooldown A method or condition as well. We also need a streamer friend A method for a user. I guess we can get rid of this named argument. We're dealing with users. Let's not make things too complicated. Toby Clemson, hey, welcome to Full Stack Live. I really appreciate the follow. So, in this case, we'll go ahead and return false as well, just for starters. No one's a streamer friend, but I guess we can do a shortcut and say return unless streamer friend A user. Because if the message is from someone who is not in our friends list, we don't have to deal with it in any way. If it's a friend, then we need to decide have they posted recently or not, and we have to register them. Do we have to register non-friends? Well, if they become friends, they should get a shout out, but they haven't been registered yet. So they'll get a shout out anyway, because that's the logic of shout out cooldown A. If last seen time is nil, which will be the case for people who haven't been in our friends list before, then they'll get a shout out. So yeah, we only have to track our friends. And that's it. But let's get back to our storage management here. So we retrieve last seen data. We can then, with the knowledge that this is going to be a hash, retrieve the last seen data for a specific user. And in register last seen, we'll say last seen data, retrieve last seen data, then we set last seen user to time now, and then we'll store last seen data, I guess, which goes here as well. So that's store last seen, oops, data or data. And here we'll put this here. And of course, we'll have to call store last seen data here for last seen data. So register last seen, retrieves the last seen data, updates the user, and stores it again. We can also call this update last seen. Oh, let me try and do the LSP rename function. Does this work? Instead of register, we'll call it update. Bada bing. And it has updated that up here as well. Cool, 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 cool. So for our streamer friends, we'll have to have something very similar to what we're doing here with our last seen data. Because we basically need to retrieve our friends. Let's be more specific. We call it streamer friends. I mean, there are a lot of friends here in chat, but not everyone gets a shout out. That's only the streamer friends. So we'll retrieve that. And that's probably going to be an array. Well, we can always make it a hash. That's going to be more future-proof, I guess. So we'll retrieve the oops. So we have retrieve friends and store friends. Well, we don't need to have store friends yet. I mean, yeah, there needs to be a way to actually add someone as a friend, and that's where we definitely will leave the shout-out scope, because management of streamer friends is definitely something different and doesn't belong in here. And even retrieve friends will then need to be extracted, because that's going to be used in our friend management as well. But for the time being, let's assume that there is something like streamer friends stored on in the client's memory. We'll retrieve streamer friends and get a hash in return. And then we'll need to define, oh wait, that's the streamer friend up there. So we can actually get rid of this and then take this and put it here. And for streamer friend, we'll say friends equals retrieve streamer friends, or retrieve friends, and return friends user exist. If they have a hash in a hash entry, regardless of what the value is, they are stored as a friend. Okay. Wowzers. Yeah, we'll probably also have to be more sophisticated than this here. I'm pretty sure that in the future I'm going to track last seen for all chat posters. And if a message triggers this here, it'll also trigger my last seen tracker. So at the time I realize someone has posted, they've already been seen by the system. So I'll probably also have to store the previous messages timestamp, because last seen will always be now. So I'll probably have to track something like previously seen, and then decide on this previously seen date or timestamp. But that's something future me needs to take care of. So with that, we probably should write a test, I guess. How do these tests look to begin with? We'll create a user message. Okay, that makes sense. We'll set up our Twitch bot, which should probably be done inside a helper method. We'll allow the client to receive send message. And okay, here we actually write into the client's memory. That's interesting. Okay. And then we simply create a new event handler and call it. Yeah, we create a new handler with this message and this client, and then we call it. Oh, I see. Okay. I would probably write this differently today. Handler is not really... So getting this handler class instantiated isn't really part of the test setup up here. It's practically part of the call. And so I would probably write this like this. Deriving this class with this message and this client, and then calling call, and then checking that the client has reacted like it was supposed to. So yeah, I guess I'll simply go ahead and copy this part, and we'll create a shoutout handler spec. Shoutout handler spec.rb. And that's of course the shoutout handler. It gives a shout out to friends who joined the chat. So we'll create some kind of a user message. Just hello, and the user is a friend. We'll also have to set up the database. Client memory store. Streamer friends. Where we have an entry friend. And at the moment doesn't really matter, so we'll set them simply to true. And then we'll have to modify last seen with friend time now -1 day, for example. And then we create a message and a bot. Let's do this at the beginning because it's the least relevant thing. So we set up the database. In the end, we define a message. We'll also have to create the client. Then we store, then we have the message, and we allow the client to receive, send message. Let's put this here. And then we create the message, and then we actually launch this, and then well, actually, we need to send a message. We haven't sent a message yet. How does the plan command handler do that? We'll simply call client send message. Okay. So our shoutout handler, yeah, we'll have to implement the shoutout method here. So guess that's going to be shoutout. And here we say shout out to user, I guess. So let's that's that. So we should have shout out to friend. Okay. Will this work? Not if experience tells us anything. But let's see. Rake. Well, we can run bundle exec. Let's run this test. Ooh. I should have run the test suite first just to see if it's breaking anything, but it's what it is. So, failure. Uninitialized constant 10x shoutout handler. That's because we need to register this handler. And that's happening where? Here, right? Yeah. So there's the attack command handler, and we'll have to add the shoutout handler as well. Undefined method hour. Yeah. Really? Is that active support stuff? So doesn't matter. We can always do this. So I guess, yeah, one day doesn't work either. Where's our spec? Okay, it's active support. Okay. Well, no matter. We can always say that's 86,400. Just needs to be more than 3,600. Well, yeah. Now it says undefined local variable or method user. Shoutout handler line 10. Interesting. Yeah, because... Wait, what? Is there an intermediary? Let's see. Plan command handler. Yeah, it's event, and event then has a user and all these things. Right? Yeah, event user. Okay. So... let's see what happens if we do this. Since we are passing user everywhere, we need it. I guess we are okay. So a good idea to still use user as an argument. Even though I assumed it would be available as a local method. Okay, undefined method exists for true class. Yeah. I can't even hash. Where is it? Friends key question mark user. This dot exists. That's PHP, isn't it? Oh dear. Okay, that looks better. Yeah, now we have wrong number of arguments in line 39. Last seen user. We retrieve last seen and then we... Huh? Hmm? Last seen. Wrong number of arguments giving 0, expected 1. Wait, what? Not sure what's the problem here. Oops. That didn't go well. The Ruby LSP isn't as capable as the other LSPs, I guess. Okay, so what's the problem with last seen user? We call it with a user. And in line 46 we call update last seen. I think we have a... Yep. Last seen data user. Okay. Expected client to have received send message with shout out to friend. But it did not. Let's debug a little bit. We are not shouting. Friend is true. Well, that gets stored correctly and gets retrieved correctly. That's nice. So, friend key question mark user friends is true. That should at least get us here. Yeah, we discovered a friend. That's good. But the cooldown doesn't work. Okay. So let's see. Put us. Last scene. Last scene. 23rd. 1738. That's now. And of course, that's not cooldown period. How have they just been seen now? That's interesting. 1738. Now it's 1739. This looks like the last scene gets updated too early. 1739-30? Yeah. Yeah. It's always now. That's interesting. Is that some currency issue? How strange. Well, I guess we should track update last scene, huh? Update last scene. Now I'm curious to see what happens. So we call the shoutout handler. Last scene is here. Update last scene. We see a friend. Last seen is now, and then we update last seen. Does the test setup do something stupid? We probably should read the raw last seen. So, friend has been seen last 1742, 45, 54. And that's the last seen then. Friend been seen now. Update last seen. What about this? Do we work with the same? See, that's another reason to encapsulate these things in their own objects, because I might simply use the wrong key here, and then already the test doesn't work anymore. I'm relying on internal knowledge here that I know what this storage key is named after. So it's streamer friends and last seen. Is it though? Let's see. Yeah, we do use last seen here. But doesn't look like it's getting updated correctly. Now let's do a try, and let's not update last seen. Last seen 17:45:16. It still gets updated. 45:35. 45:31. It's the test that does something wrong. Do we even do the right thing here with subtracting 86,000 seconds? Yeah, that's possible. Okay. Time now. Stored friend. Yeah, okay. How is this not yesterday's date? It is. You have to... It is. We don't have the 23rd. It's the 24th today. I was chasing the wrong goose. Wait. So they were last seen 23rd yesterday, same time. I was just confused. Okay, so how does the shoutout not trigger? Shoutout cooldown A, event user. Last seen time, last seen user. Last seen time is nil or let's call it fresh equals last seen time in either nil or long ago. And then we return not fresh because that means they're on cooldown. Yeah, I need to return. Yeah, okay. Ah, that's the reason. I had it the wrong time, the wrong way around. If we haven't seen them yet, or if we haven't seen them a long time ago, then they are not on cooldown. And if they are not on cooldown, then we do a shout out. I returned if they are not on cooldown, and yeah, and then the unless, of course, did the opposite thing. Okay. So, well, let's keep this in for the time being, and we can simply say, okay, if that's not the case, then we can say last seen time, not nil. Hey, bad cop, how you doing? Welcome to Full Stack Live. Let's turn this around. Cooldown is if there are not nil. So something like that, not nil. And we've seen them. Recently. They're on cooldown if we've seen them in the first place, and especially if we've seen them recently. That's the cooldown condition. And now we have another wrong number of arguments. Client send message shout out to. Wait, what? In shoutout handler, line 25. Client sent message. Is it not client sent message? It is client sent message. Huh? Shout out. Ah, we don't have a user object anymore. Well, let's expect one. Oh, we actually pass one in, so we only need to accept it. Okay. Yes, it works. So let's try the other test cases. So if they are not a friend, does not shout to non-friends. Terminology is shaky here. So I guess we'll still store a friend, but the user is really struggling to find the right words here without offending everyone. So we have a friend and they've been last seen, and the non-friend has been not been seen since yesterday. Expect not to have received sent message with shout out to non-friend. Sounds complicated, but works. And then, of course, we have the case where we have a friend who repeatedly writes in chat. He skips shout out to chatty friends. Which means they are a friend, but last seen has been, say, 30 seconds ago. And in this case, it should not do a shout out to friend. Which also works. Nice. Let's get rid of the debugger statements. Okay. Whew. Nice. We've done something today. I guess I need to find a way to manage my friends list. So there probably needs to be another handler where I can declare people as friends. And they'll simply get stored in the database, which will then probably scream for a friend object where we can encapsulate everything that's related to friends, but that's something for a later day. For now, I'm going to, I guess, commit this. I already have... I can't really test it in real life. Yet. But that's not a problem. We can still release it like this. The tests are working and it looks like... Yeah, I guess we can release that. So, let me see. We have the plan command handler where we remove this. I guess we can commit this first and so let's do this. First commit this as that's a fix. Cleanup. And then we have the actual shoutout handler. No. And that's a feature. I need to write better commit messages, though. Okay. Yeah, it's 6 o'clock, so it's already time to wrap things up anyway, and this is a nice pointed time to do so. Let me check a few things. Okay. Yeah, we're good. All right, folks. So that's it for today. I'm happy that I, in the end, actually still did a stream. It's been fun, and I made progress, and I got a little bit of success. I'll be back as scheduled next Tuesday afternoon. And since I'm in a much better place mentally than I was last Tuesday, I'm pretty confident that I'll be doing a stream, and I hope to see you then. And so let's wrap things up with the usual information. Visit my YouTube channel to get videos and recordings of my streams. I'll resume posting my stream recordings to YouTube again, starting with this stream. And if you'd like the conversation in between streams, then feel free to join my still pretty new DevOps community over on opsitive.com. You can join for free and simply post there if you have any questions, if you'd like to show and tell, if you'd simply have a good time. It's a forum-based community because I'd like to be, things to be a little bit more persistent than they are with something like Discord, but we do have a Discord as well, so feel free to join that too. It's linked on the community. If you'd like to support me, you can of course, send me a subscription like Exegete.io did. Thank you again. But you can also get a paid Opsitive membership. It's the same price, I think, probably yeah. It's roughly at least. And you'll be able to support me over there as well. And as a paid member of the community, you'll also get access to exclusive content. So that's definitely an advantage over a Twitch subscription. And that's basically my way of doing things instead of a Patreon account. If you'd like to share feedback or any comments, or if you'd like to send me questions, you can find me on Twitter, on Mastodon. And that's it for today. Thank you for joining the streams. Thank you for watching. Thank you for chatting. Have a great weekend. See you soon. Take care.